Hi, and welcome to Hagen Lundquist. My name is Tracy Morrissey, and I'm the Director of Human Resources for the company. For our final module, as part of this new hire safety orientation, we're going to discuss a few key employee policies and also share more with you about our commitment to supporting you during your employment here at Hagen Lundquist. Some key policies you'll want to keep in mind during your employment here at Hagen Lundquist. First, let's talk about cell phones. There's a zero tolerance for cell phones. That means using cell phones during your working hours or on the job site. We also have regular and predictable attendance that's required. Lateness, absences, or failure to obtain approvals for paid or unpaid time off will likely result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Excessive late or tardiness, just be mindful that the foreman or the superintendent have the right to dock pay for up to the next half hour. For example, if you arrive at 7:05 when your scheduled shift was 7 a.m., you will not likely receive pay until 7:30 on that particular shift. Weapons of any kind are not tolerated on our job site. And with respect to communication, you will be given clear direction from you should be given clear direction from your superintendent and or your foreman as to how they want you to communicate with them related to needing to miss work due to illness, vacation, death of family member, etc. Be sure you check in with them and understand their preferred mode of communication. Also be mindful that a 3-day no call, no show will be considered termination, a voluntary termination. Continuing on, related to drugs and alcohol, we have a zero tolerance for anyone who uses, possesses, buys, sells, or distributes, or is under the influence of illegal drugs or alcohol while on duty or while on property owned or leased by Hagen Lundquist. Please note that violation of that policy is subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Social media, keep in mind that you as an employee are personally responsible for what you communicate on social media. Remember, what you publish might be available to be read by the masses, including members of our company, leadership at the company, future employers, all your social acquaintances for a long time. So keep this in mind before you post comment about the company, your coworkers, your foreman, your superintendent, or any displeasure. And of course, we always welcome social media posts about how much you enjoy working here at Hagen Lundquist and about your positive comments about your coworkers. Paid sick leaves. As part of a Colorado law, we are required to make sure that any personal sick time you have, you are paid for up to 48 hours in a year. We have a requirement that requires us to accrue 1 hour of paid sick time for every 30 hours that you work. The way we do this, because we have 2 different unions and 2 different collective bargaining agreements, the Carpenters Union, for those of you that are in the drywall profession and part of the Carpenters Union, rather than accruing this in our payroll system, we pay this in the vacation and sick fund to the Carpenter Union. So to the extent you need to take paid personal sick leave and you are part of the Carpenter Union, you would contact your benefits office at the Carpenter Union to take that time or to be paid for that time off. For those of you that are in the painting and drywall finishing profession and part of the Painter Finisher Union, we do not pay into a vacation fund, and instead we will be accruing 1 hour for every 30 hours you work into a paid sick leave bank. And anytime that you need to be out for a personal sickness, and that would include an illness for a family member as well, you would notify payroll and we would make sure that you get paid for that. We're also required to pay a public health emergency leave. For example, under COVID, we are required by the state of Colorado to make sure that if you are out for an illness that has been deemed a public health emergency illness like COVID, that we pay you, that you are eligible to be paid up to 80 hours for any time missed due to that public health emergency illness. If you have any questions about any of that paid sick leave, you're always welcome to contact me. My contact information will be provided at the end of this module, as well as Marisa, who's in our payroll department. And then just a reminder that your other health and welfare benefits are provided directly by your unions. That's your medical, dental, vision, pension, etc. And you'll want to be sure, if you have any questions about those, that you contact the benefits office at your union. Let's talk a little bit about infectious disease control, which I'm sure everybody's become more familiar with and more attentive to, especially over the past couple of years related to COVID. Certainly, as well as other infectious disease, such as the flu that comes around every year. Bottom line is we ask you to stay home if you're feeling ill. We just covered about paid sick time, and you can be assured that it's very rare that something doesn't qualify as paid time for illness, especially if you follow the protocol of staying home, notifying your superintendent, notifying HR, and we get the information we need related to the illness. Then you will be paid, and certainly the environment encourages you to stay home, and so that we aren't spreading illness around the company. Obviously, washing hands, cleaning up after yourself, covering mouth, social distance when that's required, wearing your PPE. Again, we're a subcontractor. Most of the time, there's a general contractor that has their own job site procedures, making sure you're aware of and comply with those. Report any and all exposure to me and or Marisa in Human Resources, so that we can make sure to contact trace if needed, check who else might have been exposed, and make sure that you are getting properly paid for any time off. And of course, we always encourage all of our employees, it's not a requirement, but we do encourage all of our employees to get vaccinated for the flu, for COVID, and other vaccines that are available as they become available. Okay, now that we've covered some of the key policies I wanted to review with you, let's move on and talk a little bit about our culture here at Hagen Lundqvist, as well as the culture of care. Hagen Lundqvist is an active member of the AGC, or the Associated General Contractors of Colorado organization. Ruth Ann, our CEO, serves on the board of the Specialty Subcontractors, and we have adopted fully the AGC's culture of care, which you can see here on this slide is about our commitment to hire based on skill and experience, regardless of ethnicity, gender identity, nationality, race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. We're committed to attract prospective employees by creating an inclusive workplace that's free from harassment, hazing, and bullying. We're committed to retaining high-performing employees by identifying and removing barriers to advancement. And we're committed to empowering every employee and promoting a culture of diversity and inclusion. At Hagen Lundqvist, we're fully committed to fostering a culture of care at every level and in all aspects of our organization. You, our employees, are our most valuable assets. Every one of you has the right to work in an environment that is safe, welcoming, and inclusive. And by adopting a culture of care, it allows every employee the opportunity to reach their full potential and be their most productive, and to do so without the fear of harassment, hazing, or bullying. We encourage and expect all employees to commit to and comply with a culture of care. Again, you've probably heard throughout the previous modules, and I can't reiterate enough, that safety and employee well-being is our #1 priority. And it's important to keep in mind that safety goes beyond protection from physical hazards. Psychological safety is as important to us here at Hagen Lundqvist as physical safety. We know that when workers aren't integrated into the workplace, they're more than likely to have accident, and that there is a connection between psychological and emotional stress, and that resulting in accidents at the workplace. And please know that any unwelcome offensive, discriminatory, and harassing behavior is absolutely not tolerated at our company. As mentioned on the prior slide, and I want to make sure that I stress this for you and your well-being, is that harassment, hazing, and bullying are not tolerated at our company. On this slide here, you can see the distinction and the difference between what comprises harassment, what comprises hazing, and what comprises bullying. Our commitment to you is that just as you have the right to refuse work in physically unsafe conditions, you also have the right to refuse to work if you are experiencing emotionally or psychologically unsafe conditions in the form of harassment, hazing, or bullying. Any employee found to have exhibited inappropriate conduct or behavior against others may be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. And any employee who believes they have been subjected to any kind of discrimination that conflicts with the culture of care values should seek assistance from their supervisor or contact me directly in Human Resources. As part of our commitment to culture of care and our overall commitment to our employees, I want to talk a little bit about our employee well-being initiatives and some of the resources available to you during your employment here at Hagen Lundqvist. First, let's start with a question I have for all of you. True or false? Construction workers die more often due to suicide than all other workplace sources. Sadly, this is true. Construction industry has the highest number and rate of suicides than any other industry. Almost 43.5 individuals per 100,000 workers versus 14.2 for all other U.S. population. More construction workers die by suicide each year than all other workplace-related fatalities combined. And here you can see kind of the breakdown by trade we have our carpenters at 54.7, construction managers 45.7, first line supervisors at 44, which represents some of the trades here at Hagen Lundqvist. Here are some additional stats related to the construction industry. 12% of construction workers have an alcohol use disorder. 80% of construction workers have experienced stress at work. 14.3% of construction workers were diagnosed with a substance use disorder in the past year. And the construction industry accounts for 20% of the nation's suicides, and construction workers represent about 25% of fatal opioid overdoses among all workers. Here to the right, we talk about reasons that workers may not seek mental care. There's a lot of stigma around it, judgment, fear of job consequences, and don't know how to access care. And as if we weren't challenged enough in the construction industry by just some of the industry statistics that we've reviewed, we're also emerging from 2 years of a significant pandemic that has created additional stress not only for us as individuals but for our families. Right now in our country and in our world, 81% of people are burned out. There's just been a continuous layering of trauma over the past couple of years. All of us as individuals are facing unprecedented challenge in today's world. 73% of us are experiencing stress that's affecting mental health. More than half of 1,500 families surveyed by the Kaiser Foundation are dealing with pediatric mental health issues. And it's important to keep in mind that while maybe all of us may or may not be having challenges with our own mental health, keep in mind right now that the severity of mental health challenges for our children is unprecedented, and want to make sure that you know that there are resources not only available for you, we're going to talk about, but for your family and your children as well. Continuing on, only 43% of individuals right now rate themselves as financially healthy, And sadly, only 40% of all individuals today believe the future will be better than today. There's sadly a sense of hopelessness right now related to our economy and inflation, our environment and fires and natural disasters, our political climate, the physical and emotional pandemics, mass shootings, substance abuse, and on and on and on. So there's just a lot going on. And I share this in order for you to be aware that, again, how you're doing, how your coworkers are doing, how your family's doing is important to us at Hegum Lundquist. We're aware of all of these challenges that you're undoubtedly facing, because we're facing them along with you, and we want to make sure that you have resources available should you and your families need support in dealing with what's going on in the world today. Heritage Cares is the name of the employee assistance program we've adopted here at Hegum Lundquist. The next slide will share some information about how to access this, but bottom line is that this is a resource available, an assistance resource available to all employees and your families at no cost. There's educational videos, there's coaching from peers, people who have been through similar issues that you may be facing. There's care available through trained mental health professionals. Everything is 100% confidential, does not get reported to anyone at Hegum Lundquist in any way, shape, or form. And what's really great is everything can be accessible via an app on your cell phone or your mobile device. This slide here, if you have a chance or want to take a picture, you can snap a picture here real quickly, but this gives the access information or the contact information for the Heritage Cares program. This signage and access information and QR codes will also be available via the gang boxes at your job sites. This information will also be sent to you as part of your new hire orientation packet, and will be sent to your home address as well, so that you have the information available to you for you and your family. You also have access to additional resources depending on the union you belong to. Here's the information for both the IUPAT, which is the Painter and Finisher Union, their Helping Hand program, and then for our Southwest Carpenters Union, it's called the BOSS program. And these are resources for mental health, substance abuse, counseling, anything that you may need for yourself or your family. And in case through Heritage Cares or your union, there are other resources that you need. I've listed a few of them here that are additional resources that we have found helpful, that are endorsed by the AGC, that I want to make sure you have should you need it. The bottom line related to all of this is, again, everybody's circumstances and situations are different. Making sure that you take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and are mindful of and watching for possible symptoms or concerns among your coworkers, and having access to and knowing that there are resources available should you have any struggle or need to refer family or friends or coworkers to any of these resources. I want to thank you for your time and attention during this Human Resources module as part of your new hire orientation. Again, my name is Tracy Morrissey, and I'm the Director of Human Resources. Here is my contact information if I can support you in any way during your journey here and your employment at Hegum Lundquist. I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you for your time.